Whoopi Goldberg joins an ABC pilot, the Emmys are about to redefine comedy, and Dan Aykroyd is still on that Ghostbusters 3 shtick. Hey ladies, I got a shtick you could jump on. It's called C+ News Time.
It's C+ News Time with your host, Chad White.
Welcome back to C+ News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is your news you definitely didn't know about for the week of February 19th, 2015. Let's go to our first story. Whoopi Goldberg joins Jermaine Fowler's ABC pilot, Dolores and Jermaine. A long time ago, I reported that Jermaine Fowler, comedian and black guy, was getting his own television series on ABC, and now he found his grandma. Whoopi Goldberg has been cast opposite Jermaine in the multicam pilot that focuses on a millennial with big ideas but very little drive who moves in with his estranged grandma, which would of course be the elderly, very elderly Whoopi Goldberg. The pilot is said to tape in New York later this year, and it's not supposed to affect Whoopi Goldberg's attendance on The View because that's the other show that she hosts. But it would make sense because, Rosie O'Donnell's leaving and maybe Whoopi can leave. If it gets picked up, Whoopi Goldberg will serve as executive producer and Fowler will serve as executive producer, and Office alum Danny Chun will also serve as EP. Oddly enough, this will also mark Whoopi Goldberg's first return back in the sitcom territory in a starring role since 2004's Whoopi. Next up, Orange is the New Black is no longer going to be considered a comedy. The Television Academy is finally clearing up some cloudy messaging it put out last year when it had Orange is the New Black under the comedy series platform. The Emmys will now instate new rules for the comedy, drama, and miniseries categories. The TV Academy is redefining comedy as a show that is 30 minutes or less. That means Orange is the New Black is headed back to the drama category, where it will probably lose to better dramas. Even better news is that both categories will include one more contender per category. So that means 7 shows per category. That's amazing. That opens up a whole new playing field. Variety series will now be split into 2. One variety talk series, one variety sketch series. Variety sketch will now be at the creative arts ceremony instead of the regular ceremony. So that means if SNL somehow wins another Emmy, then of course we will not see it on TV. Adding one more show into a category may not seem like a lot, but when a show like Brooklyn Nine-Nine doesn't get nominated because there's a limit and there's so many great comedy series out there, it really does make a difference. Last, but certainly not least, and something you will not stop hearing about until it is made, Dan Aykroyd still wants to make Ghostbusters 3. Even though there is a Ghostbusters reboot out in the world. You can say a lot about Dan Aykroyd. You can say that Yogi Bear wasn't funny. You can say that his career is somewhat in a standstill. You can say that he was only funny on SNL. And you can also say that he is super tenacious. Aykroyd did some interviews this week following SNL 40, the 40th celebration of SNL. Of course you saw that. He was on the Howard Stern Show and Unmasked with Ron Bennington. During both interviews, he talked about the Ghostbusters reboot by Paul Feig, and yet he still wants to move forward with a quote-unquote conventional sequel. Aykroyd said, not putting down Paul Feig's movie, "I've got 3 daughters, so I'm all for female empowerment. But let's get this one made, and that will reinvigorate the franchise, and then we'll go on to maybe doing one more conventional 3rd sequel, as we were planning, and another idea I have for it." Aykroyd may be at a bit of a loss because Harold Ramis is of course gone, and Bill Murray has moved on with his career. Aykroyd was caught saying on the Howard Stern Show, "I don't think we will ever work together again. I've written 4 scripts for him, and it's very tough to get him to read them. But I love him. I just think that he's moved on in his career to do work with people that he respects, and he's done the character twice. You can't drag him back." Bill Murray's not one to shy away from sequels. I mean, have you seen Garfield: A Tale of Two Kitties? And that is all the news I got for you. Thank you for watching. I love you. And remember to subscribe and follow C+ Comedy on Twitters and stuff.